Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for coming to the 6 p.m. yoga class and hanging out with me tonight. So for tonight, as we are preparing to set up our yoga mat, it would benefit you to go ahead and grab 2 blocks, a blanket, and then I would grab, if you don't have your own yoga bolster, I would grab like a pillow, whether it be a fat one or if it's like nice long and skinny, like a bolster traditionally would look like. Just something that is just, plushy so that we're able to uh, be able to be more comfortable in certain asanas and releasing some of that tension. And I would recommend having your yoga mat near some wall space because for a couple asanas we might need to use the wall for a little bit of assistance. So it doesn't have to be directly onto the wall, just maybe a little bit near. I'm gonna go ahead and start to play some music for us. Alright. If you have water nearby, or if you don't, you can go ahead and use this time to grab some agua for practice. Just bringing up my little clock here. Okay, awesome. See where the video is. All right, go ahead. All right, so you can go ahead and for the beginning of class, we can go ahead and grab one of the blocks. And as we grab one of the blocks and possibly a bolster too, depending where our comfort lies today, we're going to start our practice grounding into a butterfly position. So there's several different ways that we can bring some modifications here to start. So to make this asana more grounding and more passive, one thing that we can do is that we can utilize a block for a pillow. If you are able, and like placing it on top of your feet doesn't need to be right near your groin area. You can place it on top of your feet to make it a little less, I would say, get a little deeper to your hips without a lot of force. Otherwise, if you don't want to use a block, you can just come forward with your forearms onto the ground with possibly a block underneath your thighs or your knees if you need some support onto your sides. You also have the option to grab one of your bolsters or big pillow here and kind of place it onto your feet, hinge forward, and maybe rest your head on top of it. There's several different ways that we can find that sense of support and stability in this asana. So whether it be blocks underneath your hips, if we have a lot of space here, maybe a block or a bolster on top of your feet, And folding forward to rest your head on and get a little deeper into the inside of our hips. Either hugging to the block or bolster or having your hands be free onto the mat. You also have the option with your blanket to put it underneath your tailbone to kind of help elevate your hips just a little bit here, as well as create some padding and comfort underneath your sitting area. So just note that that is an option as well. If it does not feel comfortable to have a bolster or a block on top of your feet, you can use a blanket as like a cushion barrier here, as well as if you need just a few more inches, you can fold it to any thickness that is applicable for you, and you can still place a block on top to then come into your butterfly. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one since this works for me. I am comfortable. I feel supported in my hips. I feel comfort on my feet, as well as I feel pretty stable having just the additional inches from folding up the blanket. So go ahead and allow yourself to try any of these possibilities here. And note that throughout each and every one of these asanas that I will supply for us to practice with tonight, that you have the free range to either make adjustments for yourself, use any modification that is provided, so that you don't have to just stick to one for the whole few minutes that we have to hold the asana. So you're more than welcome to explore any of the different modifications so that you can make this practice fulfilling for yourself. And as you breathe, allowing the full belly breaths as we inhale, and as we exhale, fully expand. As we inhale, and as we exhale, bringing the stomach in. Reaping the benefit of each breath that we have here. Jacob and I went foraging in attempt to find some morels today, but instead found plenty of pheasantback mushrooms. And he is currently cooking up a mushroom stock with our findings. So I'm reaping in a lot of the benefits right now of smelling the delicious broth. Fully inhaling through the nose and out through the nose. So for some of us that when we hold these asanas, find it hard for us to either let go, find a sense of quiet, maybe allow that creative mind to find creative ways to make the breath pleasant. And to make your time go by. From here, you can go ahead and take 3 more breaths. 3 more breaths. And with the final breath, inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Very slowly come out from that forward fold, removing the block and the blanket. Good. but keeping your butterfly legs. Just place your hands either onto your thighs or knees, wherever's comfortable, and do 3 sets. Let's do 5 sets of sitting cat-cows. So as we inhale, bring the chest forward, eye gaze up into your cow. And then as we exhale, rotate the shoulders, chin to chest, like you would in cat. At your own breath, your own pace. Trying to move more with the upper body and keeping the lower body in place. And then after you have done your 5 sets, you're gonna go ahead, we're gonna keep our butterfly legs, but we're gonna come into a reclined butterfly pose. So you do have the option, if you wanted to, you can place a blanket onto your sacrum if you want a little more comfort here, or if you'd like to open up a little more through the ribs as we lie here, you can like roll up the blanket. Good. And place them starting right underneath our rib cage so that we can open up gently throughout the thoracic spine. Yeah. And you can keep your hands onto your thighs, onto the floor, or if you wanted to work more with the shoulders, you can bring the arms above your head. And then the same thing here. If you feel like your knees are high off the ground, you can place a couple blocks underneath your thighs. And you can find stillness, or maybe through alternative breaths, you can take your eye gaze over a shoulder, just to get a little to the neck as we continue to find this opening in from the hips. Yeah, and then we won't stay in this asana for very long. So start to count to your final 10 breaths, making the last one a cleansing one. If your arms are above your head, you always have the option to kind of take your hands and clasp them onto your elbows, encouraging you to open up to the thoracic spine. And once you have reached your 10th breath, inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. Very gently lift up through the knees, spread the feet apart. Do very soft windshield wipes, side to side. And after you have done a few windshield wipes, you can spread your feet apart, maybe even off the mat, and then bring your knees to touch inwards, since we were working on the external rotation of our hips. Just working on a very soft internal rotation to kind of balance out our hip opening. And go ahead and count to 10 breaths here. And then reaching the top breath, inhale through the nose. And exhale through the mouth. If your arms were above your head, you can go ahead and gently release. And then from here, maybe slowly coming off to your spine and just coming forward into a child's pose. And if it wasn't mentioned in the beginning class, is we are doing some restorative yoga today since we worked a lot with our hips and our hamstrings. So just nice light stretches to help kind of decompress from it, especially since running season is here too. This is a great way to kind of just decompress and stretch out your muscles from your daily runs. So with your child's pose, if you were looking to release some fascia behind your legs, you can very slightly fold a blanket directly behind your knees onto your thighs to kind of rest upon. And taking your arms forward, you're more than welcome to grab a pillow too if you wanted in your child's pose, a bolster to kind of make it more restorative. Either taking your arms forward, or you can take them behind by your feet. And for those runners, if you are in your child's pose with your hands by your feet, you can give yourself a massage here if you wanted to. Personally, when I go through my own yoga on my own time, and whenever I reach a pose where I'm able to rest in and able to grab onto my feet, I love just massaging the inner arch of my foot, as well as taking the time to kind of stretch out each toe or work your fingers in between each toe. It's those little moments that we are able to do that self-care for ourselves. And with this child's pose, you can make it as restorative as you'd like, or if you wanted to stretch out from the spine, you can keep your arms towards the front of the room and make it a little more active. From here, go ahead, count your 10 breaths, making the 10th breath a cleansing one. And once you reach your 10th breath, inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. And very slowly walk yourself into a kneel position, and with the blanket, you can go ahead and remove it. And then we're going to place our feet to the side. So from here, we're going to go into a saddle position here. So in your kneel position, having your feet to the outside by your hips, you can have your blanket and kind of roll it up here, and again, placing it where, like right underneath your rib cage. You can very slowly start to walk, getting this good quad stretch here. And if this is enough for you, where you're like, okay, I'm definitely feeling stretched, I don't feel quite comfortable going further in, you're more than welcome to hang out here. And if you are, I would recommend grabbing like that pillow or that bolster just to kind of hug it onto your spine so you're able to enjoy this pose. Other than that, for those who are looking to go into the full saddle pose, you go ahead and walk yourself onto your spine, having that blanket right underneath the rib cage. So the bottom part of the blanket is at the bottom part of the rib cage. So then the top part should be underneath your rib cage. And then you can take your arms above your head and clasp your elbows together. And even so, if you are still looking for a little extra cushion for your spine, you are welcome, instead of a rolled blanket, to grab a pillow and attempt your way to come all the way to the bottom here. Maybe onto your elbows, or just maybe allowing your hands to rest on your thigh, but I usually like any attempt to help open up the heart to allow that to be present. You're finding the breath deepening from your stomach. Go ahead and take your final 10 breaths here, the 10th cleansing. Final breath, inhale through the nose, out the mouth. Very slowly placing your forearms onto the mat, helping you up, but bringing your knees together here, curling through the ankles, or the toes so that your ankles are up. Good. And placing your hands onto your feet, rotate your shoulders back, lifting up through the chest. And on the next breath, you're going to inhale, bring the hips up and forward, coming into camel pose. 10 breaths. Making sure that your hips are forward and that your heart is reaching up towards the ceiling. And bring your final breath. Inhale through the nose, out the mouth. Slowly bring your hips back down to your feet. Swing your legs forward here, coming into that windshield wipe. And this moment, taking a drink of water if you need to. Awesome. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and come on to our stomach. So coming into a Sphinx pose to continue finding this opening in through our heart and just giving a little bit of a break for our legs. So with that, you can place a blanket where your pelvic area would be so that it's a little more comfortable. And you're more than welcome to grab a bolster or block with you, possibly each. Coming into plank and just kind of stretching out through the hamstrings. And then go ahead, bring your pelvic down. Coming into seal pose to start, lifting up through the chest, pressing your feet onto the mat, sending the heart forward here. Now just taking a couple breaths. And then as we digest here into our Sphinx pose, as we go ahead, come onto our forearms, the elbows are going to be directly underneath the shoulders here, hands pressing into the mat. We're going to scrub the hands away and lift to the heart. And for some of us that would like a little more comfort or assistance, if you have your pillow, you can place it underneath your chest. If you just want this to be a little more restorative. Okay. And you are more than welcome to either place a block underneath your chin to keep you elevated, or a block onto the forehead. Finding your moments of breath here. As we are in the Sphinx pose, we don't, even though we have this pillow underneath us, we don't want to just collapse and allow all of our weight to just lie into the pillow, because then we're not having that heart opening. For some of us that just have like very tight chest or a tight sternum or stomach core. This brings that little bit of support so it doesn't feel like we're straining. Grabbing the shoulders active and away from the ears, and a little bit of that back core engagement. So pressing your pelvic and engaging at the glutes here will help with that tone. Maybe eye gaze over the shoulders. But go ahead and start to count down to your 10 final breaths. And then once you reach your 10th breath, take a deep inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. Placing your hands underneath your shoulders, rotate the shoulders back. And very slowly rise up through the chest. And then press the top of your feet into the ground. Bring your chest up and forward into your upward facing dog. Good. And knees to the ground, coming into an extended puppy pose for just about 3 breaths. So tailbone up and bring the stomach towards your thighs. And then you can gently come up and go ahead and find your booty onto your blanket here. Good. Take a drink of water if you need to, and we're going to come into a wide-legged fold. Good. So maybe coming onto the side of your blanket here, coming back in with the hamstrings. When I have to go into a wide-legged fold, I find it beneficial to have a blanket to elevate my tailbone up a little bit, giving myself some support. So finding a little bit of a fold here into your blanket and placing it underneath the tailbone so that we find that lift. And go ahead, taking our feet forward here into the staff pose, and then go ahead and spread the feet out into a wide-legged fold here. Good. So whatever is comfortable. And I would go ahead and place a bolster or blocks in front because we may need it in a moment. But from here, we're just going to go ahead and keep the legs apart, flex at the feet, keep the upper torso straight, and inhale, bringing the arms up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to go and turn our ribcage over towards the right foot, hip hinge, just either grabbing onto the shin, maybe grabbing onto a toe here, or maybe not grabbing anything at all, just allowing yourself to rest your head and your hands down. Good, so we're getting a very minimal twist, as well as we're getting into the lower core here. And you'll notice when you inhale, like through the spine, and exhale, you'll start to feel yourself going deeper and deeper into your asana. And so if you wanted to as well, you could place that pillow on top. If that feels comfortable for you to find that hip hinge here. Good. And then when we grab, if you are grabbing onto your foot or onto your shin, I'm not looking for us to kind of force ourselves into these poses. We just want our body to naturally mold as we go through this asana. So there is no need for tonight's practice for you to try to get as deep forcibly into an asana if it's not serving you. I'm just saying that this is an option. And then from here, go ahead and count to your 10 final breaths. And then, with your 10th breath, taking a deep inhale in through the nose, out through the mouth. Very, very, very gently lift yourself with a straight spine, taking a couple breaths here to kind of digest from that fold. Maybe just kind of alternating your body side to side as if you're trying to prepare for a twist here. Going nice and gentle back and forth. Then we're going to go ahead and take it to the opposite side this time. And then so from here, if you wanted to use that bolster or pillow to kind of ease your way into this fold, let's go ahead and turn our torso over towards our left leg this time. Okay. And from here, inhale, rise. Arms up towards the ceiling, so it might be comfortable if you face forward first. And then turn yourself over to the left side and hip hinge, forward fold. Again, you have the option to grab onto your foot, onto your shin, and you don't have to grab anything as well. So if you wanted to just kind of rest your hands forward and make it more passive, then go ahead and do so. Just knowing that forcing ourselves in an asana is not required tonight. So don't feel like you have to grab your foot and try to yank your spine towards your foot or your shin, because you can hurt your lower obliques, you can hurt your lower side body here. And you'll notice too that as you go through your breaths, inhale, lengthening through the spine. Then as we exhale, with these deep, deep breaths, both in and out, that we will slowly allow ourselves to go deeper into our asana. Also, I'm not sure if anybody heard that on the webcam or anything, but I heard from the other side of my bedroom door, my dog making noises in his sleep. growling at dream strangers and then doing little howls at dream strangers. It's so precious. He does it all the time. And I hope that you guys were able to hear that on the webcam. And wherever you're at, do 10 more breaths here. Now with the 10th breath, inhaling through the nose, out through the mouth. And very, very, very gently rise up. Good. And bring your bolster, if you use it, into the front here. Right, if you need to adjust your width, go ahead and do so. From here, this time we're going to come into a forward fold. So you can find that lower core engagement. Take your hands and inhale, bring them up towards the ceiling. Good. So stretching out through the spine, bringing the arms back, finding the straight spine here. Inhaling. As we exhale, we're going to hip hinge, fold forward, hands onto the mat, or possibly onto the bolster. As we hip hinge, and if you don't have a bolster, you can take your blocks and you can place your hands onto the blocks if you need some assistance grounding, if we can't touch the ground, or also you can use a block for a headrest as you fold forward into your hip hinge. So again, you can go through all the different modifications, kind of explore, seeing what feels good for you at the moment. And from here, you can go ahead and count your final 10 breaths. With your final breath, inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. Very slowly rise yourself. Rock that forward fold. Good. And then very gently swing your legs forward here. Very gently bend at each leg. Allow yourself to windshield wipe side to side. And then as we reset through that hamstring stretch here, let's go ahead and as we have our knees bent, let's slide the right leg underneath our left and our left on top of our right, coming into Gomukhasana legs, keeping our ankles near our hips, feet flex, knees are here to stack, and you have a few options. You can use a blanket to set the edge to lift up the pelvic. If we need to fill in the space here, you can, you grab a blanket and kind of fold the blankets that we can kind of close into that space here. Whatever feels comfortable for yourself. And as you find your Gomukhasana legs, you're going to take your right hand to the ground, inhale, rise, left arm towards the ceiling, and side body stretch for 10 breaths. Hugging at the hips here, keeping them nice and close. Lifting up through the chest and taking the arm towards the back of the room. Maybe the eye gaze up towards the thumb. And then once you reach the 10th breath, inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. Inhale, rise, both arms towards the ceiling, lowering the left hand. Inhale, rise, right arm towards the left side of the room, opening up through the rib cage and taking your eye gaze up towards the thumb. 10 breaths. Hugging at the hips. And once you reach your 10th breath, inhale, rise, both arms up towards the ceiling, palms together, release. And then slowly release the legs, windshield wipe, side to side, move any prop to. And then all we have to do is swing the left leg this time, left heel underneath towards the right, and having the right leg on top. Close the gap if you need to with a blanket, prop up however you need. And from here, we're going to start on the opposite side. So the left hand's going to be to the ground, and inhale, rise, right arm towards the ceiling, and start to side bend over towards the left side of the room. Eye gaze up, 10 breaths. And after the 10 breaths, you go ahead, inhale, rise, both arms towards the ceiling, lowering the right palm and inhale left palm towards the left side. 10 breaths, keeping the chest lifted. Open up the rib cage. And then after the 10th breath, inhale through the nose, out the mouth. Inhale, rise, arms up towards the ceiling and palms together, release. Release the legs. Come onto the long ways, onto your mat. Good, you're more than welcome to roll up a blanket into a burrito and placing it at the bottom of your rib cage, going upwards. Opening through the spine, thoracic spine. Preparing for our Shavasana. And then for your Shavasana, you can inhale, bring your arms above overhead. Take a deep inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. Spend the next few moments here onto your back. And so as we are lying in Shavasana, I picked a quote for today's practice by Yoko Ono. That spring passes and one remembers one's innocence. Summer passes and one remembers one's exuberance. Autumn passes and one remembers one's irreverence. And winter passes and one remembers one's perseverance. So you're more than welcome to stay in the Shavasana if you'd like. And for everybody else that would like to continue on with your day, you can start to find micro movements, your toes, your ankles, your fingers, and your wrists. And you can take a deep breath, inhale, bringing your arms above your head. Knees in towards your chest. Deep inhale through the nose, and out through the mouth. Gently guiding your knees and your side body to the side. And guiding your way into a comfortable seated position. We can go ahead and meet our palms into the heart center. And we can take a bow for ourselves and for our climbing friends and neighbors. They're sharing this virtual space with us today, giving ourselves the gratitude for taking the time to take care of ourselves, and to wish peace and health throughout the rest of your night. And namaste. Oh, the stock is smelling so good. Can't wait to have some mushroom soup. It's gonna be delicious. Well, I hope that each and every one of you has enjoyed this yoga practice tonight. You're more than welcome to join us for a slow flow at 7 p.m. So in just a few moments on a different link. Hope you all have a great rest of your night. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night. You're welcome, Celeste.